and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about aespa's Better Things, focusing on a little breakdown of the sitcom and the music video to see what they can tell us about the story told in this comeback. Now, ever since the end of the first season of the SMCU, aespa have been hanging out in real world, seemingly leaving Kwangya behind. While in spicy reality was struck by a strange phenomenon that affected space and time, the girls founded the Spicy Club and were not only able to overcome the challenge, but even thrive in those strange conditions. In this brand new comeback, however, aespa find better things to do with their time, so in the video they experience a summer fantasy where their beautiful dream ends up turning into reality. As we see in a second, the video portrays aespa's adventure in a dreamland that eventually leaks into real world. Unable to enjoy the vacation they deserve, aespa create a fantasy vacation with their imagination, and in the video this adventure begins with the appearance of a magical fish. As the fish flies around and the girls start looking for it in the house, the creature takes control of the phone and pushes the cup on the floor, thus creating a path to the dream that can be accessed through the fridge. In this fantasy world, aespa visit fantastical locations like 4 Alices in Wonderland. Like Alice falls asleep without even realizing it and ends up in Wonderland after chasing the white rabbit, aespa falls asleep without even realizing it and get to their summery fantasy after chasing the flying fish. In both cases, the rules of reality don't apply. They explore magical wonderlands, fall down into a dream world where they can do whatever they like, and like Pinocchio with the whale, they even end up in the belly of the fish as they swim around. As the video progresses, the dream concept is also reinforced by some visual references to the hallucination quest depicted in Savage, and like in that video, the girls end up in a dreamy pink landscape that is full of bubbles and corals. Back in Kwangya, that was the location where they finally reunited with Navis, but in this dream, the girls admire a strange object shining in the distance. When Ning frees the fish, we discover that the object is none other than the straw inside of the cup. aespa's Wonderland, in fact, was a water world inside of Giselle's drink all along. Winter dreamt about it, the others imagined it, but when the song ends and the alarm rings, the girls snap out of it and go back to reality. Much to their surprise, however, when they look outside of the window, they see a giant straw appearing in real world, thus confirming once again that their dreams come true. Now, this is all fun and games, right? But in order to understand what their dreams are coming true this time, we actually have to look a little bit closer. At the beginning, for instance, we see that the fish actually came out of this Alexa-like device. This device is called iToday, and as it turns out, is much more sketchy than what it looks. If we go back and take a look at the sitcom that anticipated the comeback, in fact, we can also find some interesting clues that can help us understand what is actually going on. As you may know, Better Things is a sitcom comprised of 3 episodes called Better Things to Do with My Time, Better Things to Do with My Holiday, and Better Things to Do. In the first episode, Ning is abroad as an exchange student, and Karina, Winter, and Giselle receive a call from the real estate agent. She tells them that she's about to come by to take some pictures of the place, so the girls have to clean up the house in order to avoid eviction. In the second episode, instead, the girls are about to go on holiday to visit Ning, when all of a sudden a storm cancels their trip. As they're forced to stay home, the storm also causes some damage to the house, but when they call maintenance, they receive the visit of a spirit that scares them and messes with the appliances. In the third and final episode, Ning is back home, but now she's found a job at a coffee shop. Where she works, the others get ready for their own interviews, but as they practice their skills, they get sidetracked and eventually discover that the interview was scheduled for the day before. Now, even if each episode focuses on the girls' shenanigans, they also provide some clues about the unfolding lore. In episode 3, for instance, the plot began with Giselle having a nightmare where they were all swallowed by a giant fish. That was obvious foreshadowing for the plot of the music video, but throughout the sitcom, there are also many clues expanding on the strange origins of iToday. In the same episode, for instance, the girls end up watching an ad with aespa endorsing the device. In the ad, the girls are underwater like they are in the MV, and the narration explains that iToday will be with aespa throughout their journey so that aespa don't get lost. Now, this makes sense. The device is an AI version of Siri or Alexa, so the machine is advertised as something that can help you and make your life easier. Problem is that iToday is not a regular device. It has magical properties, and in episode 1, we also get to see its origin story. According to the video, iToday is a device first created by CEO Steve Marine, a character inspired by Steve Jobs wearing the same outfit but with a jellyfish mask over his head. During the presentation of his product, Steve explains that iToday is made up by many incredible parts. Every iToday includes shooting stars, the watch that holds all sounds of the earth, the coral reefs from the tropical fish, a souvenir card from Lilliput, which is an island inhabited by tiny people that first appeared in Gulliver's Travels, and other special ingredients that people need in their life. In the presentation, we discovered that Steve created this device in his paradise tent, which is a summery fantasy right next to his laboratory. Once completed, iToday tells us that from now on, if people want, it can be right there for them. And as it turns out, both aespa in the sitcom and aespa in the MV end up using its services. In episode 2, iToday promises that it can make everything happen, but in the same episode, we also discovered that this magical device can also be affected in a negative way. When the girls are haunted by the ghost, iToday gets possessed by the spirit and starts malfunctioning. And in the same episode, we also see an animation where the device goes rogue. In that video, we see a boy running out of cereal and iToday materializing it out of thin air. If at the beginning the device is very helpful, however, as the day goes on it gets messier and messier. The boy has to go to a party, so he wants information about the weather and wants iToday to arrange a ride in order to take him to the party. Instead of replying like a normal AI, however, iToday uses magic to fulfill the boy's requests. He asked about the weather, so it transforms him into a giant able to look at the clouds from up close. He calls a taxi to take him to the party, but now the boy is too big to fit into the car, and when he gets to his destination, he cannot even fit into the house and ends up sad and alone. By the end of the video, iToday brags that he can make everything happen, and he can, but not the way people want. The magical aspect of the device is subject to malfunctions, so even if you eventually get what you want, it doesn't mean that you get it how you want it. Now, if we keep this in mind and go back to the video, what happens at the end might be spookier than we thought. In the video, aespa have better things to do than sit around in their house. They want to go on a summer adventure, and iToday makes it happen by sending them into a fantasy world instead of a cup. When they wake up, however, the adventure is not over. The dream world has leaked into real world, because now we see the giant straw right outside of the window. This might imply that like the straw, all the strange anomalies that were introduced back in Spicy were actually caused by different iTodays malfunctioning everywhere. It could be the beginning of a new chapter in aespa's storyline, but to see how things will unfold, for now we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, however, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.